host an interview with stunning, beautiful wedding and event property in Switzerland, in Montreux, that is called Fairmont Le Montreux Palace. Let's learn if it's safe to travel to Switzerland now, how we can host weddings and events up to 300 guests at the moment in Switzerland. We are very happy to have Switzerland on board, and as we
pandemic have gone down, they're not completely gone, but have gone down to a safe environment, making it safe now for us to come back to a semi-normal life, which still includes some social distancing, which still includes some measures imposed by the government to make sure that we do not go back to larger numbers. However, specifically for the events industry, we can now have events for up to 300 people.
Wow, congratulations. It's not up to 5.
Yeah,
So,
it's
wow,
we went
great.
from 5 to 50, and now we're at 300. There's still the social distancing. There is still the the distance that we have to keep in between tables, etc., that have to be, but at least we can have these events. Also, being the largest palace in Switzerland, it helps us in a sense that being able to respect these distances differentiates us from a lot of places, because we have a lot of large spaces. So if we need to keep distances, we can.
You have the possibility. You have the possibility.
Exactly. We have a lot of large spaces, which we've already started doing. We hosted our first event, larger event this week. Everything has been reviewed to make sure that our guests are safe, but also that our staff are safe. They have also partnered up with AXA, which is one of the biggest insurance companies. So. This will start as of July this year, that our guests will benefit from a teleconsultation if there is a case. So if they are a guest of the hotel, they will have access to AXA telemedicine consultation with a doctor, and will be followed through. Tourism has launched also its own certification called Clean and Safe, which so we of course have embraced both. So there is an enormous change in the way we do things, in the way we serve, in the way we accompany people to the room, the check-in. Everything has really been reviewed to make sure that the maximum safety for our guests and for our employees.
If you can guide us through, let's say the guests arrive, so which safety measures you do, how you implement them. Specifically, you can describe this very event and social distancing, for example, for weddings, what we're interested in.
Arrival process of having the gels on arrival for everybody to and masks available for people who want to use them, using the right space for the arrival process to make sure that not all of a sudden you have 200 people in a space where you cannot have social distancing, the distancing between tables, and how many people at each table. So for example, having a table of 10 people but with 5 people on it, not being not we have reviewed also coffee breaks, for example. So things are served more than they are on a buffet, and when they are on a buffet, they are individualized so that you're not touching
The
tongs
food
or
or
plates.
milk or
Exactly.
sugar.
So everything is individualized, and a lot of it is passed now, with our servers wearing masks, wearing gloves. Of course, the same thing in the kitchen, and then in terms of cleaning, making sure that the cleaning process before and after are done in a certain way and using certain products to make sure that the spaces are also safe. So in terms of what to expect for weddings, the same will be applied for weddings. We still have some weddings that are taking place this year. We've had to review the spaces with the couples. It's totally doable, and you can still have some very nice events, especially now that we can go up to 300 people.
You provide all measures, all safety measures,
Absolutely.
and all possibilities to stay safe.
Absolutely.
And then for sure, it's up to everyone to keep it for 90%, 100%, or for 20%. So we are all responsible for our health and safety.
Absolutely. You can still have a semi-normal event while still just making sure that you respect a little bit the restrictions or the
Exactly.
safety measures.
Karim, so we're back to serving food. I guess that you will have set menus now, right? So it will be the only option to select.
Having a buffet where someone is behind the buffet who's serving the people, then that's okay. If you want to have a buffet, but they're still possible with some new measures where you would either have to have someone that served the people, also to break down the buffet, not to have a very large buffet where everybody is reaching over, but having maybe smaller stations, pre-plated, like in glasses or in small plates, so that, and a lot of passing. Which is, the whole point is to make sure that, people are not touching tongues or spoons or serving or being too close where someone else is going to touch.
Perfect. Thank you. And Karim, another question that is really important. All people are in the same boat. And we, like planners, vendors, suppliers, as well as our clients, right? We know that some people lost their jobs, unfortunately, or revised their salaries. So what I want to try, that financial aspect is very important right now. And what will be your policy? So do you keep the same policy strategy, or you change it to some extent?
So, I mean, for us, we've had obviously to review a little bit our rates. I will speak about room rates. In terms of the weddings, we've also looked and said, the focus has always been, the few weekends between the month of April until the month of September, October, because this is when the weather is nice and where everybody wants to get married. But we've also looked at, winter weddings, because it's also a very nice time to get married, or weekday weddings. So the focus is to have more interesting prices during that time. So we're talking about 15-20% lower than the I would say the peak times. But also the most important is flexibility, because I think other than the price, this pandemic has also put a lot of uncertainty. People will say, okay, so if I book my wedding and all of a sudden there's a second wave, what will we do? We understand this uncertainty. It's as long as this event is rebooked within the year, or let's say if it's towards the end of the year, within 1 year after, then this is what we'll do, because we understand that you cannot say, oh well, listen, sorry, it's not our problem. But it is everybody's problem, and
Exactly.
we need to work with clients to address that. So we'll not be reviewing our packages during the peak times. Our idea is to have the flexibility, to have better pricing, weekday versus weekends, to have
Different
options, work with the client to put together a package that would work for the client as well.
Yeah, to take something from one package another and just to combine, so completely customized package that will be good for you to host,
and good for the client,
and good for the client, because they will be able to go ahead with your property.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So, Karim, you mentioned that the peak season for the weddings and events is from April until September, and
until beginning of October.
Until beginning of October, and Fairmont Montreux Palace is beautiful for that, because you have a lot of spaces, and as you mentioned, outdoor. So the temperature outdoor for this period in Switzerland and Montreux is beautiful. So I think it's a kind of spring and light summer when it's not hot, right?
Exactly.
So if this is for sure, this is the explanation why people want to come to your property during this season and why it's called high. So, but you as well mentioned that you will offer winter packages. So how do you see that?
We noticed that destination wedding people, especially people who come from countries which are milder weather, so Southeast Asia, Middle East, they actually don't mind the winter. They enjoy it themselves.
Yeah, we want winter.
We want winter, exactly. So it's been a trend, and we've had a few of these weddings. So this is where it came from. Half an hour, 45 minutes from here, you can be in the snow, and did photo shoots in the snow as well. We've had places, we have a terrace that has a beautiful view onto the lake, which is covered, and which we can heat to a certain extent, but to do even things outside when the weather is not perfect or sunny outside. So you can still take advantage of the outdoors, but there's a very nice feeling of using the indoors. We have a beautiful, huge fireplace in our hall, which people love to do their cocktail reception with a huge fireplace, with a fire going, with nice music. It's very cozy.
I'm very happy that we have winter weddings, and it was not only because of current situation, but before. And I hope that this year and coming years you will have even more. People who are based in Asia or Middle East and other GCC countries, they don't see snow, they don't see winter. So definitely this is what they love and would like to experience.
In these times, we have to work together, planners, hotels, to make sure that we can make these wonderful and memorable events happen. And we have to all work hand in hand with flexibility, with the new norms. But life has to go on, and we need to relive and have events and see each other and celebrate these things.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Stay safe.
You too. Bye-bye.